You know, when we pastored in Darwin, I had a guy join my church 6 weeks. One day on a Saturday, true story, I'm not making it up, went out, raped 2 girls and murdered them. He's still in jail to this day in Darwin. And so he comes and sits in my church on the Sunday. I've got a murderer, a rapist in my church. You know, and my wife picked it up. I didn't pick it up, and she picked it up. So finally, when he confesses, he holds his Bible up and says, God told him to do it. All hell broke loose. I nearly lost my church. All of a sudden, they put it around. He was my youth pastor, my music director. Don't let, facts get in the way of a good story. Hello. You know, all hell broke loose, and I got really angry because some of the Pentecostals, we were the Kenneth Copeland cult of Darwin. Most of them would have had me on their finger for a wart, But all of a sudden, it's a really lonely place to be. And I'll never forget, I get this phone call from Jim the Baptist, not John the Baptist, Jim the Baptist. Jim the Baptist doesn't even pray in tongues, but he rings me up and he says, I'm coming to pick you up for a cup of coffee. And I said, don't bother. Bang, and I slammed it. He rang me back and said, don't hang up on me. God told me to come and get you for a cup of coffee. That's what he said to me. And I'll never forget, we go out, he sits down, he says, Col, he says, we may not agree everything doctrinally, but you're a man of God and you need a friend. He said, I'll be a friend to you. He said, God told me, he said, if you need money, my church will supply the money. If you got to make a statement to the press, he said, you put my name, my church under you, and I'll back you to the limit. Pete the Pentecostal wants to kick me in the head, and Jim the Baptist wants to be my mate. We're lifelong friends. He still doesn't speak in tongues. Anybody know what I'm talking about? A couple of years later, he gets himself into a major financial bond, not because he did anything wrong. I went to my board and I said, I want a check for $5,000. $5,000 20 odd years ago was a lot of money. They said, why are you heading for Hawaii or something? I said, no, Jim the Baptist got himself in, his building program. They said, we've got our own building program. I said, listen to me. He's the only bloke that stood alongside him in that crisis. Where were you blokes? Anybody? I said, it's a lonely place to be. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Where anything going good, everybody wants to be your mate. As soon as it's going bad, they want to sink the slipper. Too deep? And so I said, I'll get the money. I said, if I don't get it, I will get the money. And I'll never forget, they wrote me a check, $5,000, went around, knocked on the door, and the associate pastor came in. He didn't like Pentecostals. What do you want? Wouldn't have me on his finger for a wart. What do you want? I said, money. He said, brother. I love it. Money speaks all languages. Brother, is that right or not? I said, where's Jim the Baptist? And he said, out there. I said, you go get him. And I'll never forget, he walked in and I flicked the check over and I said, that'll get you out your problem. He started to cry. He actually started to cry. He said, my own church. I said, that's what mateship's all about. I said, I remember you standing alongside of me in my time of need. Is this too deep? Imagine if we could actually get that mateship out of the natural. I really believe guys would knock the doors off the church to come to a place like. Why do guys go to pubs? Most of them not really, it's the booze, it's the mateship. My dad, he didn't even like Anzac Day, didn't even like all the pomp and the ceremony, but never missed an Anzac. Why? To see his mates. Lifelong friends. Think about this, up into his 90s, still lifelong friends because of what they served together. Is that right or not? Laid their lives on the line for each other, mateship. As I say here, it's just a simple principle of the Word of God. The more that I look into it, as I say, I just love it.